We're taking an in-depth look at Numbers chapter 27 this week, at the end of Israel's 40 years of wandering in the desert, when God reminded Moses that he was not going to be going into the promised land with the rest of the Israelites. Let me just read that section for you quickly. It says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Go up this mountain in the Abiram range and see the land I have given the Israelites. After you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people as your brother Aaron was. For when the community rebelled at the waters in the desert of Zin, both of you disobeyed my command to honor me as holy before their eyes.'" So God is telling Moses that he's not going in, and he's reminding him why. The incident that he's referring to happened 7 chapters earlier in Numbers chapter 20. And in Numbers chapter 20, the Israelites were complaining that they were thirsty in a desert. Imagine that. And so Moses and Aaron went to the Lord, and the Lord said, "Well, I want you to honor me in front of the Israelites by going up to that rock over there and telling it to produce water." But that's not exactly what happened. Moses went up to the rock, and instead of just talking to the rock, he hit the rock twice. It still produced water, everybody got something to drink, but that wasn't exactly what God told him to do, so God told him right then and there, "You're not going to be going into the promised land with the rest of the Israelites." And there are a couple of interesting things that you might be curious to hear about that incident in Numbers chapter 20. The first one is this, is that the Israelites had been really nasty to Moses right before they started complaining about their thirst. They were complaining not only about their thirst, but they had just told Moses that they would rather be back in Egypt dying than in the desert following someone like him. They didn't care that Moses had left a very comfortable life and a very profitable life to come and risk his neck to save them from the Egyptians. They only cared about the fact that they were thirsty, that they were uncomfortable, and they blamed Moses for it. And the second thing you might be interested in knowing is, do you know what Moses was doing just before they started complaining to Moses about Moses? He had just finished burying his sister, Miriam. Miriam had just died, and the dirt from putting her body in the ground was still on the hands of Moses when the people he came to save basically told him that they would rather have him in the grave. And after that, and after God reminded Moses that those Israelites were going to be able to go in, but he wasn't, I find it interesting that Moses didn't get up and just walk away. He didn't give up. He didn't stop leading them. He continued to lead them. And Scripture doesn't give any indication that any Israelite took the time to say thanks. But we can take the time to say thanks to someone who, for us, did a very similar thing. In Isaiah chapter 53, it says this about Jesus. "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth." He didn't object, he didn't complain, even though he was underappreciated, even though he was in pain, even though it was our fault that he was in that position in the first place. He kept doing his job, which wasn't to lead Israel to their promised land, but to lead us to ours. And he did. No matter what else you have going on today, no matter how unappreciated you feel, no matter how in pain, that's enough reason to pause, stop whatever it is you're doing, think of Jesus, and give thanks. Did today's message help you? If you're looking for more encouragement to help you get through life's seasons of disappointment, I invite you to join me on this week's Time of Grace television program, where I'll be delivering a message designed to help you do just that. Watch on TV, our website, Roku or Apple TV, or listen to it on podcast on iTunes. We'll see you tomorrow.